What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another Bucks on Deck podcast episode. I'm Anthony Murphy. With me, as always, my good buddy Nola Jeffy. What's going on, man?
Another day in paradise.
How much of that Pirates game did you watch?
Too much.
That's probably the right answer. That's right. That's the right answer. And
Too much of
I
it.
guess I guess I'll take the blame for it some because what is it? I was watching it. What is it? It went to 4-1. I walked away to clean up the kitchen and kind of, get everything settled in the house because I knew we were going to be doing the podcast in a little bit. Looked at my phone. It was 5-3. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should just come back and watch it. Turn it on. And, went pretty south pretty quickly once I put it back on. Ellie De La Cruz hit that monster home run.
Yeah.
That says somehow Statcast says that O'Neal Cruz home run or the Ellie De La Cruz was only 437, which I have a hard time believing that. So
I think the O'Neal one was a little harder, so maybe that.
it might. I don't doubt that the O'Neal one was hit harder. I just feel like the Ellie one went further. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. That's neither there or anything like that. Got a fun little episode planned out here. We're going to talk a little bit about Mike Burrows, who started the rehab process this past week. Fangraphs released the top prospect list for the Pirates. Finally, we're almost to the end of June now. We did our initial list and an updated list before
so Premier everybody else. I think Baseball America. I mean, they've been doing an update per month.
Did a couple updates. Yeah, they did a couple updates, and then. The hot topic going on this past weekend was obviously we saw some promotions, including like probably the most notable name in the system currently. And we want to talk about maybe some other guys that we might be looking to see get pushed up to another level. But first, we'll start with Mike Burrows. Rehabbing, had Tommy John last year. Pitched in the complex game on last Monday, and then he pitched in Bradenton on Sunday. We got a chance to watch both of them. I watched the game. I watched the game on Sunday, and he also pitched in the complex. Burrows, the little bit that we have seen him, what is it? It's probably less than 3 innings worth. About 3 innings worth right now. What's anything stand out to you, or what have you seen in general from him so far? I know it's not much to go on right now.
Yeah, no. I mean, I guess for the most part, it's kind of customary to what you're used to from Tommy John. What they say, control's usually the second thing to come back. Because, I mean, he was up to 94, 95. So the velocity is already right there where you want it to be. We had wondered if he was going to be throwing the slider that he showcased in spring just before going down. He's been throwing in a couple changeups. I mean, curveball, fastball. He's been heavy fastball.
Yeah,
pretty much the entire time. Hasn't generated a lot of whiffs. Obviously, yeah, command isn't fully back yet. So, all in all, glad he's back and to see the Heat's there.
Yeah, I think obviously, we talk about like what we've seen, what we noticed, and everything like that. Obviously, we're not too worried about like results and too much about that yet. Just back playing, but it was good to see him mixing all his pitches in at least somewhat. I think he threw like 30 in between 30 and 35 pitches on Sunday, and I think like 21 of them were fastball. So like you said, it was very fastball heavy. Burrows has always been the kind of guy that he kind of sparked my dive or my curiosity into like fastballs and stuff like that, just because, he throws mid 90s, and obviously there are guys that throw a lot harder than that, but he's always been a guy who's been able to generate a lot of swing and miss and whiffs with the fastball. And, towards the end of last year on the site, we started taking a lot more of a deeper dive into, pitch shapes and the metrics and stuff like that. And lo and behold, he's a guy who has a very favorable like fastball shape when it comes to that stuff. A lot of induced vertical break. The approach angle is really nice. the extension and stuff like that, which is something that, because of Bailey Falter and stuff like that gets a lot of attention with the Pirates, isn't the greatest. But whenever you have that kind of movement and stuff like that, and the fact that he kind of throws that like 12-6 curveball to go off of that fastball, that really helps too, like within at the top of the zone. But Command obviously needs to. We'll get there eventually at some point. But it's just good to see him back on the field pitching. I don't know how quickly they'll get him up here, but I guess that kind of begs the question. Like the big topic with the Pirates right now is like the bullpen, and like we saw some more issues with the bullpen Monday night. And the name that has been coming up the most has been like Braxton Ashcraft. But do you foresee a scenario to where like maybe the Pirates may like if Burrows comes back and they're taking it easy with him and stuff like that? Do you feel like there's a scenario to where like maybe Burrows might fit that kind of role better at the end of the year than maybe Ashcraft would?
I mean, yeah, I think he would fit it better than Ashcraft would at this point, especially if you're talking, a limited amount of bullets. He's obviously going to be curtailed on his innings limit, pitches limit, and all that. And you could get him big league, get his feet wet while not extending them too much, and worry about building them fully back up in the off season. And yeah, you got a guy that's throwing mid-90s already. Maybe he goes up a tick or two out of a pen. I mean, he's got at least 3 pitches that he throws well. I mean, he's gonna be when he's back. He's gonna have to be added to the 40-man from the 60. So he's gonna be on the 40. So you don't have to move anybody. So I don't see why not.
Yeah, I do feel like because so Burrows has always been interesting to me because he's Greensboro 2021, he was really like a 2-pitch guy, fastball, curveball. And every year, like I kind of want to be like, well, is he a starter? Is he a starter? Is he a starter? And then 2022, he added the changeup, and the changeup's actually like it has become like a really good pitch for him now. I think like Fangraphs said like the whiff rate on it or something like 40-50% or something along those lines. And then like you said, he added the slider before he got like during spring training before he went down with Tommy John. So he's like done a better job like cementing himself as like a legitimate starting candidate. To get him a little bit of experience in the majors would be awesome. The thing that concerns me right now, and I don't know how you feel about it, is like the injury history. Like he has missed time with injuries like every year since like the coming back from like the COVID year. I don't know if that's going to be something that maybe do you look to just shift him into the bullpen full time to maybe try to keep him healthy, or do you feel like that's maybe like too early for that kind of conversation?
I mean, it's dependent because, bullpen would limit his usage and innings and all that, but it would obviously would be, high leverage in essence. So, he could be a middle innings guy to try and limit the leverage. I don't know. A lot of it's just going to, I guess, come back to him, his body, and being honest with himself, with the coaches. The coaches putting his health first and foremost. I mean, if he's gunning, then why not?
Yeah.
I mean, plus what? The September expansion, you get 2 spots.
I believe I get 2 spots.
Why not use him for one?
Yeah. I definitely feel like I don't want to rush him back, but also to like considering his age now. I think he's 24 now. If he's not 24 now, he'll be 24 by the end of the season. I would really like to see him at least get a taste at this point to maybe just to see what it looks like. And I do feel like there's a point too, like when you think back at it in there, and I know it's hard to kind of compare them because like I don't think they've really pitched consistently at the same time. But I do think like Braxton Ashcraft obviously has the command and control and everything like that. But like Burrows' stuff plays, I feel like a little bit better and plays a little bit better in the zone. Like how close do you think they are, like comparison wise, especially now that Ashcraft is kind of taken off? And if you had to maybe, I guess maybe at their best, who do you think would be more of like a long term fit in like the rotation?
So that's a bit of a toughie.
Yeah.
I mean, I think all things equal, health and all that, I probably would put Burrows slightly ahead. Just because I know, which I mean, as you kind of already spoke about, he was kind of one of the beginning pitchers in the system where they started talking about like a riding fastball shape and all that. And that was, I thought he was going to be the first, kind of, what's the word? He was going to be the first, not attempt, but yeah, well, I can't think of the word right now. My brain just went blank. First example of the Pirates' development system and having a pitcher with that type of stuff with, fastball shape when we were so used to, an Oviedo, Ortiz, Priester, who were bad fastball shape guys, and we saw them getting mashed. It was like, okay, here's a guy that has, above average to plus shape and everything. How's it going to play? Are they going to be able to get the best out of him? And, Jones became that guy this year to where it's like, okay, here we go. And they're making it work and he's having success. So I think, again, all things equal, Burrows probably has just a slight advantage, I would say.
Mm-hmm. I do think like, and I think it back to last year, or I might not have been last year, maybe in the year before, but I think like at P2 when we were like talking about it, when we were putting like the list together, at least for me, I think there was like serious, like a legitimate conversation in my head about like, was like Mike Burrows like the best pitching prospect in the system at that time? Like I can't pinpoint when exactly it was. I don't think it was last year, because last year, they had like, like Bubba and like even Jared Jones like kind of emerging and stuff like. I mean, it could have been last year going into it, but like it's easy to forget, because we haven't seen him pitch in so long. But like he was right up there with the we talk about like how much depth and how good the Pirates pitching prospects are. Like there was a time when he was right there at the top, if not at the top. You could probably argue that he was the best pitching prospect in point. Like I think he like was starting to finally crack into like some of the top 100 lists too, going into the tail end of 2022, and then like into 2023 before he got hurt. So definitely an interesting name and a really good arm to add back into the picture now for the Pirates.
Yeah, I probably would have. I mean, pre-Skeens, that's when we still thought Jones still had a little bit of high reliever risk.
Yeah.
And, Burrows was the safer pick as a starter because I know one of the things coming up with him was almost similar to Ashcraft right now was could he last longer than 4 innings?
Yeah.
Because he was a guy that generally – it was like he would blow through 2-3 innings and then just have like a 30-pitch inning and come out after 4.5 innings. But then he showed he could pitch longer, and it was like, okay, no, this dude is starter potential.
Yeah, and like he was like, I guess like you talk, like the semi comparison to Jones. Jones. The big question too was like, obviously there's some reliever risk, and then also can he have success with like the 2 pitches, and like that was the same thing with Burrows. And where Jones kind of just he's making it work with the 2 pitches, Burrows showed the ability to kind of, he added the changeup, and that became like a legitimate weapon, and he added the slider. And I think like the first game he threw the slider was a little rough, but then like by the end of the spring, it was like, okay, well this could be a weapon kind of thing. So
yeah. You just reminded me of something.
What?
Burrows and his steep sinker.
Yeah. That was good. But anyways, kind of like segueing here over to Fangraphs recently released their top prospects in the Pirate system. They had a top 40 with they always have like a some other players a note kind of thing. Some interesting stuff there. I don't think there was too much surprise there with some of the things. Obviously, like I think every year Fangraphs usually has one or two players that kind of just makes you go like, whoa, kind of like that. What's something that kind of, I guess we'll kind of go back and forth on a couple things that kind of stood out to us. What's something that kind of stood out to you on their top 40 list or beyond that, I guess?
I mean, I guess I'll start off with just one thing as a whole that was just kind of, I don't know if I want to say head scratching, but wasn't expecting, was their love of complex league players like Florida Complex and DSL. Like there was a lot of complex level players on here, and even just A ball and below as a whole. And it was just kind of weird in a sense that a lot of the write-ups were basically just like, oh, this guy had great data. He looks like a horse. If everything works out, he could be good.
Mm-hmm.
And, a guy that I'm still championing, Lonnie White, is down at 32. And it's like, I mean, you could kind of say the same things about him, and he's in high A right now.
Yeah. So what's the difference?
Right.
Kind of thing. Yeah, piggybacking off of that, what you said there, I did a count because it was interesting. 13 of the top 40 are in rookie ball, either complex or DSL. There's another 5 in Bradenton. So that's 18 of their top 40 that's in A ball or lower.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is and like that made me think about like, when we were putting our list together for the site and stuff like that. We were trying so hard. It felt like, like I don't know about you and all that, but it seemed like there's a collective thought that we weren't going to try to put too much stock into some of these kids in the lower levels just because of what we've seen so far with others to make it to like AA and beyond. So, but like it got to a point in the list to where like I felt like I ran out of names to put, and then it's like, okay, well now all I have left here are these kids in low A and rookie ball and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, once you do one of them,
yeah,
you got to have like you got to put all like. I almost wanted to put like Valdez, like either Valdez or Eddie Rodriguez, like higher up, just because I like some of their upside. But then like I felt like if I did one, I'd have to do both. So because like they're very similar in that, and it would be kind of hard to justify having one in the top 25 but not the other. So I kind of just let them both off.
That's what I mean. Suero's injured, but yeah, I mean, it was like, okay, if I'm putting De Los Santos on here, I got to put Severino on here, and I got to put Blanco on here, and I got to put, Big Rich on here,
Yeah.
All right. I mean, they had Carlos Caro on there. But I guess for me, it's weird because I've kind of gotten to the point, and that's why originally, like, to begin the year, at least I had Mitch Jebb higher because, I've begun leaning towards guys that are at least doing it in higher levels that are safer to make the majors because, a guy making the majors is succeeding.
Yeah.
As opposed to a guy burning out in high A or AA. So, I mean, Chang being at 35, it's like, I mean, he's not killing it, but he's league average, playing good enough, decent. I mean, he's made some plays at shortstop. Like, I'd say the K rate's up a little bit, but he's a pretty safe bet at this point to at least, make the majors at some point.
Yeah.
How long?
I mean, he's a
how
guy
long
that's
he would
already on the
stay?
40-man roster, too.
Right.
He's on the 40-man roster. He plays solid defense up the middle, and I mean, he has a history of showing a good approach at the plate, and
Yeah.
he's walked into a couple extra balls this year too.
Meanwhile, Gerald Toledo is ranked higher than him. Let's see. I'm guessing this is at the time they made the list at 21.4 years old in A ball.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, that is. So, yeah, it definitely feels like they kind of went. They've bought a lot of the upside and stuff like that. And speaking of I mentioned 13 are in rookie ball. 10 of them are at the complex right now. So they have 10 players on that complex team in their top 40. So that's. So one of the guys I did. Oh no, go ahead.
I mean, that might be what you're leading into.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. We'll see.
I was going to say, though, there was one guy that you were very high on and looking to mention, even on our pod last week, I think it was, or was it 2 weeks ago? When we were doing the surprising player.
Oh, Castillo?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was like 39th or something like that?
29th.
29th, even better. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, and to an extent, like when you look at some of the guys who made it out of the complex, like they make sense. Like David Matoma, he's the guy that I wanted to bring up too with it, just because one of like the comparisons he got Xander Meath, obviously, and then even Giordani and Severino and Blanco and stuff like that. Blanco especially because I feel like he's kind of already exceeded my expectations really for him. Like we'll see how he finishes the year and stuff like that. But yeah, that home run he hit today was off another breaking ball. That foul ball that he hit 121 miles an hour was off another breaking ball as well. So he's hitting breaking pitches and he's hitting them really hard.
Very hard.
Who is it? Was it? I posted on Twitter that he hit that foul ball 121, and was it Austin? He goes like, "Well, I didn't believe it at first, so I had to go look at it." Yeah. It's like, but yeah, what I'm thinking about is like, at first I'm like, man, I feel like I should be insulted that he doesn't believe me. But then also I thought about it. Well, yeah, I just said that an 18-year-old kid hit a ball 121 miles an hour.
Right.
I would probably doubt that too.
So, well, what was funny was, then he hit the 112 mile per hour home run, but no distance.
He broke Statcast.
He broke Statcast.
Yeah. But a guy I wanted to bring up something notable, like, as I was reading the write-ups, is like I alluded to David Matoma, who he's having a really good year down there. He's been a guy that anytime they pitch at home and I get a chance to watch it because they're at home, I really hope that they save him just for home games because he's become a really fun guy to watch. He got a very interesting they called him Giordano Ventura reincarnated. Which, if you're a little bit on the younger side and don't know, Ventura was a really electric pitcher that played for the Royals. Unfortunately, he was killed in a car accident. It's been years now since that.
Well, was that after they won the World Series?
It might have been.
So they won in 15. So did it happen, or they won?
I think it was it 17? I think I was just reading about him today. So it might have been like the year after on there. But, Ventura was a really smaller framed guy, but like really electric stuff. Like, and this will tell you how much the changes were. Like I was reading about it. He led the majors in fastball velocity one year at 96.4 miles an hour. So that'll tell you how much things have changed now that your hardest thrower for a year was averaging only 96. And now we see what like Paul Skeens and stuff like that doing.
Yeah, you topped out at 102.
Yeah. So that was it. That was really, really good to see because he's a guy that I've gotten more excited about, and I feel like there's a lot there. I was kind of worried because he kind of seemed like he was getting overhyped over that like one pitch, like because it was only one confirmed time that he topped 100 miles an hour in Dominican, which I think is something that not a lot of people like kind of realized. There's only one time that it was confirmed. Like he may have done it other times. But now he's up in the States, 18 years old, throwing upper 90s, showing a pretty good slider. And last one game, I saw a little bit of a changeup a couple times. Obviously, but that kind of comparison, I think, kind of got me a little bit excited for him a little bit further.
Yeah.
So, who's next for you? What was next for you?
Next surprising thing, I guess, somewhat similar to all the complex was how many straight relievers they had on here.
Yes,
That's what I was going through again, counting. I think it was 6. Well, I mean, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, they have 9 players listed as relievers. Like even Meath as a single inning relief pitcher, which I hope that isn't the case. But
which
yeah,
they make a decent point whenever they say that way, just because like there'd be concerns about like with his arm slot if he can throw strikes consistently, which I guess it's one of those things until you prove it, like based on history, we kind of have to doubt it, kind of thing.
Yeah. I guess a surprise, my boy Sammy Ciani making the back end.
Hudson Head's on his own list. He's too good. He's too good for that list.
Yeah. Which kind of leads into something else we were discussing about the list itself. It was kind of weird in that, well, obviously with how late it came out, it seemed like they did a mixture of their preseason feelings on players with some in-season data for some, but not for others. Because we can say the biggest surprise as a transition.
Yeah. Yeah, you say that too, because there's 0% shot that Ciani's anywhere sniffing that list before the year.
Yeah, so third year in Greensboro, probably not.
Yeah. So the fact, I mean, he may get like a shout out or something like that as like a potential, deep sleeping to click kind of thing. But yeah, there's no chance he.
So yeah, because even his whole write up was like, oh, he changed his stance and this and that and blah 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 blah. So it's like, so this isn't a preseason list.
Yeah. There's some. I guess one more thing I want to add, and then this will lead perfectly into the. I'm guessing the segue that you want to do. So a couple notable names that got left off of the top 40. Carson Reed, Garrett Forrester, and Charles McAdoo, all left off the list. With Garrett Forrester, they seem pretty high on him, like at least with the bat. It seemed like what the concern was, they want to see if he can actually adjust to behind the plate and become a legitimate catching prospect. And if that kind of looks like that, if it looks that way, then I kind of get the feeling he'll kind of shoot up the list a little bit for him. But because they moved him off there behind the plate, and then now obviously he's hurt, they kind of want to see what he looks defensively.
But also that goes back to what we talked about like at first, where it's like there's all these guys where they're like, oh, this guy's great. We don't know if he has a position, but we like the bat. It's like, well, then why is Forrester not on the list?
Yeah. A lot of and then like what is it with Carson Reed? They mentioned like he has a really good slider, but he doesn't. And like they put him in a category with like Ryan Harbin and Antoine Kelly, I believe it was. And they kind of mentioned that Reed doesn't throw as hard as like Harbin, but he has a really good slider. And Reed's kind of a guy that I've gone back and forth. Or Harbin, yeah.
Harbin and Fellows.
Okay, Fellows. Reed has kind of been someone that I've gone back and forth on because, like I said, the slider and the changeup's really good, but the fastball just seems like so underwhelming at times. And I just I kind of feel like there's a really good chance he just gets beat up in Greensboro or Altoona and stuff like that.
Which, and a big thing when he got drafted in the scouting report was that, he throws 98.
Mm-hmm.
And
which I'm guessing that. No. I the hardest that I can think of off the top of my head that has been probably like 95. I believe that's the hardest that comes to mind to me watching and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been harder, but I don't know. We'll see. And then like the last guy is, I think we've probably alluded to him a couple times here. McAdoo doesn't make the top 40 on there. He's just got promoted to Altoona. Probably, arguably, very easy argument to me that he's been the best performing hitting prospect in the system right now. and it doesn't feel like he gives too much of a specific individual, like a very specific reason. I can't speak right now. As to why McAdoo's on there, he just kind of speaks as the group that he's lumped into with. Playing hit their way of thinking. Is there anything that you can think of that as to why maybe would lead to him not making the list quite yet, or what a hesitation would be with him still?
That they didn't buy the minor league guide and read my write up on him.
Yeah, I mean that's a very good point. You had a very nice write up on him there.
Yeah, I'm not really sure because I mean they called him a power over hit type, and last year, I mean I guess they were kind of considering him because he was a college bat, even though he came out of a small college, but he hit in college, he hit in summer league wood bat leagues. When he initially broke into pro ball, he hit like. The whole power over contact just doesn't make sense.
He's been a very good contact hitter. What is it? Baseball America had that number out there. Like of all the guys who has a 90th percentile exit velocity of 108 or higher, he is the best contact rate of any of them. The best.
Yeah. And although, I mean, it's overall not great because I don't know what it is now. I hadn't looked it up since the other day. The swing and strike percentage was like the second lowest in the organization. I think at the time it was like 9.7, 9.4%. And to some degree, I guess it was, matched up to the rest of the minor leagues. It was like 250th, which says more about the Pirates hitters than anything. But I mean, it was still sub 10%.
Yeah, I'll take sub. I don't care where it ranks. I'll take sub 10% for a swing and strike rate any right. day. I don't care where that ranks really.
Now, if that starts to happen in Double A, I'll be like, okay, I guess they saw something. But so far, I mean, through his collegiate career, summer ball, Bradenton, Greensboro, there's really no teeth to that profile.
Yeah, and and we thank you. I brought this up before we started it as well that like they listed him as a power over hit. But the names that he has included with them as that type, I mean, there's some that make sense. Chase Bowen was on there, which Chase Bowen I definitely consider a power over hit guy. But Tres Gonzalez and Emmanuel Terrero, I would not put in that category, and probably Solomon McGuire, I probably would not put in that as in that profile. There, I think he has some sneaky power and stuff like that. He generates a lot of bat speed that picks up, but like he's not a guy that I'm going to call a power over hit guy.
Well, I guess, I mean, the way it's worded is, I mean, Gorski, Bowen, McAdoo, and McGuire were the ones in the power over hit profile. It's just,
not there?
but they were in the whole bucket of tweener outfielders.
Oh. No. Yeah, well. And then also, too, like, I feel McAdoo's kind of shown that he could probably handle third base better than we thought. Handled third base better than he's handled the outfield recently, I think. Yeah.
Which that could probably even be chalked up to he hasn't spent a lot of time out there. So
no, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they work his rotation as far as playing time there, because obviously there's no one really to stop him from just being the everyday third baseman.
No, nobody.
But then also too, it would be nice to see him get some work in the outfield as well. And it's not like, I mean, they have Siani and Bowen there, and Tres Gonzalez, but like, I mean, you obviously prioritize playing time for McAdoo over all of them.
Yeah, so. I mean, I guess I'd probably give Trace a little longer leash, but like, I mean, Connor Scott's about to be 25 and has like a sub 500 OPS. Hasn't even been playing that stellar of defense.
And that was like his one thing, like the last couple of years too. Like he played fairly well defensively, so that's how he kind of felt like he hung on to a spot. And to be honest, there came a point during the season that I actually completely forgot that Connor Scott was on the roster still. Like,
yeah, it's funny because the one exhibition game I got to go see at Pirate City when I was out there for spring training. I mean, the wind was blowing in hard, and everything was falling short of the track. But Connor Scott, of all people, hit a massive blast for a home
Yeah.
run. It was like, okay, but
Yeah. What is it? The first year that they had him in the system, I was in Richmond for like those 4 days or something like that, and he hit probably the furthest ball of anyone. Peguero might have hit the furthest one there, but he destroyed one down like right field and stuff like. It was like one of two home runs he hit while he was in It was one of two home runs he hit like all year there, and he did it in Richmond, and he destroyed it. So yeah, there was a time there to where I kind of like he was kind of looking like the best player in that outfield that had some pretty good names in it too, and we kind of saw how that turned out. But
well, some people thought he was a bargaining top 100 prospect and future star outfielder, but we won't talk about that.
yeah, that's crazy.
No one on this podcast.
Yeah, no. There's maybe a moment of panic in the back of my head there for a second.
I won't do you like that.
I appreciate it. All right, so transitioning off of that, obviously McAdoo started the year in Greensboro. First weekend in Altoona, pretty good weekend. Jaden Woods also promoted, less of a good start to his Double-A career, but still a guy I'm pretty excited about. We're now officially past the halfway point, or we will be past the halfway point after like AAA and AA start their games. But we're in the second half of the season. Probably a good time to expect maybe some promotions and whatnot. McAdoo and Woods, obviously. Is there anyone off the top of your head, really, that you would like to start seeing get pushed up to the next level?
Sean Sullivan.
I mean, that's the obvious answer. That goes without saying.
I mean, that one is kind of tongue in cheek. I do think he should be moved up.
Yeah.
He's been in AA for quite some time, so I think it's time to move on.
I think when I wrote about him, he was like at 180 innings at AA already, which is way more than a full season.
But I guess past that, I mean, as we even joked about pre-show, I mean, you might as well just take Greensboro up to Altoona.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, I started going through like affiliate by affiliate, and I left out AAA because promotions for that were completely different. Wasn't many names until I got to Greensboro, and there was quite a few names there too at that point. One that I'm kind of on the fence with, and I think that'd be a good name for us to maybe talk about too. But I think like the most obvious two right now is Luis Peralta and Hunter Barco, I would say.
Yeah, and probably Cy Nielsen.
Cy Nielsen too, yeah. I feel I'm surprised he didn't just go to AA anyways at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean he looked good in spring training. A couple outings he had too.
Yeah. So, but Peralta, he's an interesting guy. He's a guy that we always kind of were like intrigued by in Bradenton. I know we've talked about him quite a bit recently, but like, man, he's just still doing his thing there. And like, what did he finish on Fangraphs? He was like 25th or something like that on Fangraphs.
Yeah, they closed it, but
they threw him out there as a guy that could even be like added to the 40-man by the end during the offseason and make his debut next year.
What's he down to now? An 0.6 ERA?
I think it's lower than that.
It might, because I think he ended up going 2 innings. He went to extras the other day, and I think he went 2 innings.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for him to be in high A still. No reason.
Nah. Probably say the same thing with Barco. Barco's, I mean, he had a good outing over the weekend again, but like
aside from the 2 good batters.
Yeah. So he's had a couple rough starts, but like he's also 23 in high A, and he's like a college pitcher. So like it's time for him to go up. They have Altoona has more room in the rotation now than before. because they got like Drake Fellows starting. So Solomedo's out on the development list right now. You can always like we said, bump Sullivan up to AA. So that's like 2 spots right there that you can kind of free up. One if you just want to make it Barco, but like there's less of a case to say that you don't have room to move him up than before. So I think you're at the halfway point. He pitched over the weekend. You can probably move him up now this week and have his next start in AA.
Yeah, which I guess small disclaimer that people need to keep in mind through all of this is that it's great to promote players, but you still need bodies at all levels to play the games.
Yeah, yeah,
and then you kind of get to a point where, I mean, there's no one to push up to AAA. So unless you're, I mean, I think Jarvis is still up there. So unless you're going to put Glenn or Dixon back up, which someone in the bod comments today mentioned Pachardo. They're like, man, I didn't realize he's only 22, which I even myself the other day, I was like, oh, he's only 22. For some reason, thought he came. Yeah, for some reason, thought he was older, and he's playing well enough that he should be fine. I mean, he should not play third base, and probably not shortstop. Aside from in a pinch, but I mean, Dixon, I was surprised he's only 23. Because then you start thinking, I mean, do you send Dixon back down to Greensboro?
I had a thought on also too, and it would be kind of unfortunate just because of when it happens and then how much time is left in the season. But I was wondering if like the draft is going to spark some of these moves as well. They can start dumping out some of these bodies that they don't want, and kind of just fill some of the lower levels with the guys. Because like you said, you still have to field a team. And like,
yeah, I mean,
although there's some guys on Bradenton that are interesting, not that many that I feel like are ready for high A. Like,
well, that's Omar
Founta's probably the one name that I can make a case for.
Yeah, and
so
I mean,
where do you fill the bodies at?
Do you take Javier Rivas's hot month and say, all right, give it a shot in Greensboro so that you can start pushing up FCL players? But then you need the FCL players to play. You'd have to backfill that team. Because, I mean, you could probably make a case that 5-6 of those kids probably deserve to go to Bradenton. But then, yeah, you're I mean, hey, again, Gerald Toledo's already over 21. Maybe give him push him up to Greensboro.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Sean Ross, because I don't know if he is 25 or about to be 25. Give him a go in Altoona, you know?
I mean, he has 14? He has 14 home runs already. That's as many as he hit last year. He had 14 home runs last year. Already there halfway through the season. So, but I think the other name too that the name that I'm kind of on the fence on is Nick Samillo. I kind of feel like he's probably the next most likely hitter because just based off of he's 24 playing in high A, but like also like I don't it could just be a case of maybe the Pirates just aren't high on him, and like he didn't do much last year to make you think that this might just be a hot streak. I mean, his home run fly ball rate's 41% right now. So if that comes crashing down, like what I mean, like the swing and strike rate is pretty good. It's I believe it's like right at 10% right now. So that's good. It's just I don't know. What are your thoughts of him right now?
Promote
him just to see.
Promote him.
Is he guys like you're not even going to think twice about him until like he does something in AA, or do you think
pretty much? Actually... I mean, he could be one of those players that, you know, I mean, maybe turns into something. I don't know, but you're not going to find out in high A. Plus, I mean, he's not. He was a little hotter when he first came off the IL. I mean, but you know, with Josiah Seitler healthy again,
yeah.
he's going to need innings, at bats. So it's not like there isn't a guy already there to take over. So I'd say move him,
Yeah.
push him.
Yeah. I have to check like the exact date of the draft, but like I think the draft and the FCL season ending could be what really sparks like a bunch of changes too, because then you have all those free bodies and stuff like that to move up. It would kind of suck to have like especially Yordani hang out in the complex league all the way till the end of July. I'd like to see him up a little bit sooner. But like if you want to give some of these guys like as long as possible before you start cutting ties with some of them, because a lot of these guys moving up from the complex and drafting, we're gonna not only going to see like a lot of some of the movement that we're going to see are people getting released. So
yeah, which is having me kind of wonder, considering the state of the system. I mean, I feel they should do it regardless. If this year's draft will be relatively similar to the past 2 seasons, but this time for hitters.
Yeah. I think, we'll get a good, I guess that's a good point.
And push a bunch of them straight to high A. Because, I mean, once FCL ends, I mean, you're just going to send, De Los Santos, Ramirez, Cairo, Blanco, all those guys. You just say, okay, that's it.
Goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing that some of them aren't going to get at least somewhat. I mean, because we even saw like Valdez get some playing time at the end of the year, and then Kennedy got a couple games and stuff like that. I can't like pitching will be like a different story because like you got like innings limits and stuff like that with some of them and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the hitters and stuff like that, it's going to be really interesting to see how they kind of navigate through that the rest of the year too, because there's so much extra. There's a whole extra month of the season now from whenever their year ends, and then like Bradenton year ends as well.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't. Who am I trying to think about? Torreira is the one that just came back from being injured, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Eddie. Has Eddie stayed hitting? I can't remember now.
Oh, he's struggling right now.
Okay, I'll say, I mean, because Valdez is probably someone you can move. I mean, hell, there you go. Samilo to Double-A, Valdez goes and takes over his first base spot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, yeah. Anyone else that you can think of that you might want to see get pushed up that's not like high A?
It's not high A?
Mm-hmm. I mean, did you have more in high A?
I mean, well, luckily Woods and McAdoo went already. I mean, I was even considering Riley to an extent, or a Diamond.
Diamond would be interesting. Riley, I'd debate about. Riley, I wrote like 3 different levels for the high A. I have like Peralta and Barco as like the obvious names, and then like Riley's kind of like my tweener because like the stuff plays at a higher level than he's at right now. But then also too, I feel like he's working, like the stuff that he's working on almost warrants him staying in high A right now.
That's fair.
But like, man, he had such a good week last week that like it's tempting. It's like I'm not ready to give up on the starting pitching thing, but like seeing how his stuff plays, it's almost tempting just to say, okay, we're going to put you at 2 innings at a time and just go at it and see how far he can make it.
I mean, if similar to what we were talking about with Burrows, I mean, if they were like, look, we're gonna leave the door open for you to pitch your way into a major league spot within the next month or 2, then move up to Altoona, throw him independent, and that's ride. But I guess it would depend on their ultimate plans.
Yeah. I like them working. I'm still kind of like leaning towards like reliever long term, but I especially if he's because like the control has gotten better. So, like, if he can kind of take what he's learned with the control here and then turn around and, like, crank it back up to the upper 90s, man, he's gonna be something in the bullpen.
Oh, I still have another one in Greensboro. Jack Brannigan.
Yeah, he needs to go up. He should have been up, but
if he didn't get hurt, maybe he would have been.
He might have been there with that'll be interesting too when he does go up, because then you're talking having to move guys around in the infield and whatnot. Maybe that does spark you getting McAdoo out in the outfield a little bit more.
It's also a good reason to put Javier Rivas in Greensboro, because then they won't have a shortstop.
That's fair. Rivas is a very good shortstop. All right. A lot of names out there. Like Bradenton, like we already mentioned quite a few names in the complex league. Bradenton, I don't feel like has too many. Carson Reed could probably go just because he's a college guy pitching at that level.
Yeah.
Omar Alfonso, you could probably make a case to go up there. Like, I don't mind him hanging around a little bit longer in Bradenton. And then, like, the two guys that are more long shots that would really need to have a lot more going right, probably Christian Curtis and Antoine Kelly.
Yeah.
I feel like they both still need work, but, like, maybe they get, like, a start or two at the end of the year or something like that in Greensboro. So.
Yeah, I mean, hitters is definitely the tougher one.
Yeah. But on that note, I guess we'll go ahead and shift to the weekly preview. Which, by judging reading the article for it, seems like it's gonna be a pretty fun week for it.
Hell yeah! Especially Indianapolis is probably gonna have a lot of focus, and we'll see what kind of shit talk fans got for how this week goes. Indy obviously did not win the first half division that ended on Sunday, but they're kicking off the second half against the Rochester Red Wings, the Nationals AAA affiliate. And people paying attention, the Nationals recently promoted Dylan Cruz, who just finished his first week in AAA. He had a 241, 43 slash, but he's also joining James Wood, who is the Nationals' #1 prospect. So there's two very prolific top outfield prospects that Indy's going to get to face. So that'll be good to see Ashcraft go against them, and they should promote Sean Sullivan, because that would be a good test too. I mean, they saw them quite a bit, or at least not James Wood, but Cruz and others playing the Harrisburg Senators quite a bit. I am curious if Cade Cavalli, who's been rehabbing, will be back. That'd be interesting. Coming back from
where's the last place that he pitched at?
I think it was High A.
Okay, so he might make it there.
Yeah. Stepping down Altoona, who's coming off a 5-1 week, so they finished strong, but obviously still one of the worst teams in the Eastern. They are taking on the Akron Rubber Ducks, who have Chase DeLauder, who is again on the IL. He's been injured most of the season, so they won't see him again. That leaves Khalil Watson as their current top prospect, ranked top prospect, who's over his last 10 games has a slash at 242, 390, and 545. So he's been killing it lately.
Hitting for some power. Yeah, it's good to see.
Then they'll get to face a Corey favorite, CJ Kafis, 2023 third-round pick. After having a 1.015 OPS in high A, he moved up to double A, and in 16 games has a 1.212 OPS. In addition, Gavin Williams had his rehab step down a level to double A, and He threw 5 innings last week. I'm not sure if they'll put him back up in Columbus, but if he makes another rehab start in Double-A, that'll be fun, especially for McAdoo to get to face a
Major
pretty
league.
solid major league pitcher.
I wonder if that's because if that's just to put him somewhere close to where the major league team's going to be, like they might be calling him back up soon.
Possible, but he also wasn't doing too well in Columbus. So it'd be kind of fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
And the slamming Sammy, see how he does. And then actually the Greensboro was the third above 500 week because Indy was 4-2, Altoona 5-1. Greensboro was 5-1 last week and won the first half division. So this week they're taking on Jersey Shore, the team that they inched out for first place.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be quite a few names that we've become accustomed to, but with Bradenton, Aiden Miller's in high A now. They're number 2 prospect, consensus top 100. There's Justin Crawford, who's been with the Jersey Shore all season. He's their 4th overall prospect for the Phillies. And then George Klassen, who Baseball America's most recent top 30 update was 14th. He's only 28th on Pipeline. I honestly won't be surprised if he's the one that's getting back end 100, if not 100 consideration by the end of the season.
Yeah.
So it'll definitely be interesting with Greensboro to see who does all get promoted and who all moves to Greensboro, because they're going to be facing a very good Jersey Shore team, and it might not be the same Greensboro team.
No, definitely not.
Clearly, it's going to be so boring that Murphy's over here yawning.
Yeah, it's been a long day.
And then Bradenton is also facing a Phillies organization, Clearwater Threshers. I feel like this is becoming a thing that the A-ball teams both face Phillies affiliates at the same time. The Threshers did win the first half of the Florida State, was it the West Division? Yeah, I think. I don't remember now. Yeah, the West Division in Low A, Florida State League. But they obviously moved up Aiden Miller and George Klassen. So their top prospect currently is Devin Saltabon, another 2023 draft pick, prep pick for the Phillies. He was a 3rd rounder in 2023. So a little light, and the other thing is all these lists could technically change by tomorrow because of mid-season.
Yeah.
For minor leagues promotions. So we'll have to keep an eye out if anybody else gets moved around.
That'd be interesting. See. Yeah, it looks very, very good week. It would be nice to see like Aiden Miller, to see how he's doing in high A. He was someone I was really high on in the draft. George Klassen, he pitched lights out every single time he faced Bradenton this year.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets Greensboro. I think it's at Jersey Shore, so it's on the road. So he's not going to be pitching in Greensboro. I think. I don't know. Yeah, and then obviously seeing James Wood, who I think there's a slight argument that outside of Paul Skeens, he's the best prospect in baseball. Could be the number 1 guy once Skeens graduates, depending on what people's feelings are with Jackson Holiday right now. But
yeah, which I posted that prospect graduation watch thing today, and Skeens will graduate Pipeline Tuesday, once generally when the game begins, and by the end of the week, whenever he makes his next start, all he needs is 4 innings to hit the 50.1.
I gotta get started on a write up for the next guy, I guess. Then, huh?
Yeah,
I'm supposed to have that done.
Whoops.
Whoops. All right. So I know what I'm doing tomorrow. All right. So good week of baseball coming up as we wrap things up. You got any Nola knowledge for us here?
If you're gonna do yard work, it's probably not smart to do it in the middle of the day with no shade in the middle of a real feel of 104-degree weather 2 days straight. But my front yard looks great now.
It looks fantastic. Looks fantastic. I think we got some yard work to do by the end of the week here.
Especially
not looking forward to that.
Hydrate.
Yeah, hydrate.
Drink lots of water.
The H2O.
There's my actual Nola knowledge.
H2O. Yep. But that will do it for us today. Nola, for the visual guys, where can they find you on social media?
At Nola Jeffy, NOLAJEFFY. And for those, I mean, I don't think the video's been up the past couple of times.
No, the internet has been given, and it's like it gives me like an ETA of like 16 hours to upload. So I decided I'm not gonna wait 16 hours for the video to
also,
upload.
if the video doesn't upload, I just want everybody to know I'm wearing a shirt that says Santa skips Cleveland,
which is an amazing shirt. I was getting ready to bring that up because it was that amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, very Pittsburgh friendly shirt there.
Mm-hmm.
As always, you can follow me on Twitter at @double_Murphy88. Subscribe to Bucks on Deck. You can still get 20% off a yearly subscription when you sign up right now. We just did our midseason update for top 25 prospects. I'll have a video breakdown of Patrick Riley later this week, and maybe Jaden Woods. Maybe I'll just go like heavy. These guys just got promoted theme. Be on the lookout on that, and subscribe to Bucks. We're almost at the 1 year mark. When this gets released, we'll be 3 weeks away from 1 year at Bucks on Deck. So
3 more weeks.
Really looking forward to that. Really looking for that podcast episode because we'll be releasing one that day too, of the 1 year. So, but yeah, all right. Everyone have a good night. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.
Deuces.